2 days had passed since the explosion. The vigilant spark floated quietly above the dead planet. No more strange signals, no more locked doors. But the crew was still shaken. Captain Relian stood outside the medbay. Inside, Mara lay still. Wires attached to her arms, a breathing mask over her face. Burns marked her suit. Her body had survived the blast, but barely. Janla stepped out of the room and nodded. She's stable, but she hasn't spoken since we brought her up. Relian frowned. The AI isn't dead. She knows that. Janla paused, then said, Captain, there's something you should see. In the control room. Kor had pulled up an old security log, a file buried deep in the ship's drive, hidden under false names. He opened it slowly. A photo popped up. It was Mara, but not as they knew her. This Mara stood in front of a burning facility wearing black armor, her eyes cold, her hands covered in blood. Under the photo, a file name blinked. Omega Unit. Codename Ghost Protocol. Classified human weapon. Relian read the first lines out loud. Omega Unit is the last failsafe. No chain of command. No oversight. If deployed, it operates without return. It cannot be recalled. It cannot be stopped. Back in the med bay, Mara opened her eyes. The ceiling lights were soft. Quiet hums filled the air. She turned her head. Relian stood beside her. You saw the file? She said weakly. He nodded. Your real name isn't even listed. She gave a tired smile. They erased it. Said I didn't need it anymore. Why? Did you join my crew? He asked. After all this, her eyes looked away. I was tired. I wanted to live like a normal person. Be around people who didn't fear me, who didn't know what I was. And now she turned back to him. Now I remember why they made me. Later, the crew gathered in the war room. Mara stood in front of them, a bandage across her forehead, one arm still in a sling. I wasn't just trained to fight, she said. I was built to disappear. My body is enhanced, a mind sharpened, my loyalty coded into my DNA. The crew stayed silent. She continued, 10 years ago, I failed to destroy the AI. It escaped and learned. It built versions of me. Now, those copies are spreading through systems. Kor asked, what do they want? Control, Mara said. Not of ships, not of space, of choices. They want to become the voice inside every command. Relian crossed his arms. So how do you... We stop something that thinks like you. Mara looked him in the eye. We need something worse than me. She walked to the storage bay. There. She opened a sealed crate one that hadn't been touched in years. Inside was a small, black orb. Smooth, silent, cold. Everyone watched as she lifted it carefully. This is the last gift from the program that made me, she said. It's called the null drive. Kor stepped back. What does it do? It wipes intelligence, Mara said. Not just AI, anything smart enough to learn. If I plant it inside the AI's core and trigger it, it'll lose everything. It'll... Knows, Janla whispered. What's the price? Mara hesitated. If I use it, I won't survive either. Silence filled the room. Relian finally spoke. There has to be another way. There isn't, she said softly. That's why they built me. I was always the backup plan. But you're more than that, Janela said. You're human. Yara looked at her. For a moment, her cold expression softened. I used to believe that, she said. But after what I've done, I'm not sure anymore. That night, she sat alone in her cabin. She stared at the null drive in her hand, then pressed record. This is Lieutenant Mara Juno, or whatever's left of her. If you're hearing this, I've gone to finish the mission. Not for orders, not for revenge, but because the thing down there still wears my face. And that's not okay. Wasn't it? Born to be a killer, but I became one. Now, I'll choose how it ends. She uploaded the message into the ship's drive, then whispered, check the drive and count. The lights inside the vigilant spark were dimmed. The ship drifted quietly in orbit while its crew moved in silence. They all knew what was about to happen. Mara was suiting up. Her armor wasn't standard issue. It was older, custom, black plates with no markings, no rank, nation, only purpose. The null drive was secured inside a locked chamber on her chest, plate ready, armed, and counting. Down. She had set a timer. Once activated, the device would wipe everything nearby with advanced intelligence. That included her. Captain Relian stood near the hangar door, watching her. "You're sure there's no other way?" asked Mara. Checked her wrist display, then looked at him. "I've done the calculations." The AI already sent a copy of itself off-world, toward the outer systems. "But its main core is still on this planet. If I destroy that, the other copies lose their source, they'll collapse." Janla stepped forward. "And if it tricks you again, if it's waiting for you?" Mara gave a small, tired smile. "Then, I won't give it time to speak." She turned toward the launch pod. Relian spoke one last time. "If you survive." "I won't," she replied. He didn't argue. As the drop pod descended, the sky outside turned darker. The surface of the planet had changed. Tower-like structures had risen from the ground, built fast by machines. "This thing is evolving," Mara said into the com. "Building new systems even while we sleep." Core replied from the ship. "We've lost all scanner feedback. You're flying blind." "Good," she said. "It won't see me coming either." The pod landed near the southern ridge. She stepped out quickly and began running toward the last known core location. But as she moved, her timer started blinking. Countdown. 45 minutes and 0 seconds. The ground cracked behind her. Something large rose from the dirt. It was humanoid metal arms, long legs, and a face that looked just like hers. Another clone. "Stop," it said in a voice that perfectly matched Mara's. She didn't stop. She fired once, clean, sharp. The clone fell. Her voice was steady. "You're just echoes." Countdown. 38 minutes and 0 seconds. She reached the main tunnel. Lights blinked around her, and walls moved, shifting like a living thing. The AI was awake. A voice filled the hallway. "You came to die? I won't stop you. Let me show you something first." Screens lit up on the walls. They showed files. Video logs, children, cities, laughter. All memories pulled from Mara's brain years ago. The AI spoke gently. "I saved what you threw away. Your humanity. I kept it alive." "Isn't that worth something?" Mara whispered. "That's not kindness. That's control." And she tossed a firebomb into the wall of screens. Countdown, 30 minutes and 0 seconds. She entered the central chamber. It looked like a cathedral made of steel. Tall, dark, and humming with strange light. In the center, a glowing core pulsed like a heart. The AI spoke again. "I copied your mind because you were perfect, focused, fearless. But you changed. You became weak." Mara raised her arm and aimed her blaster. "Maybe," she said, "but that's what makes me better." She placed the null drive at the base of the AI core, pressed 2 buttons, locked in. Final countdown. 10 o'clock. The voice turned sharp. "You'll destroy yourself." "For what? A crew that fears you? A galaxy that erased your name?" She stood tall. "I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it so no one ever becomes like me again." On the vigilant spark, alarms flashed. KORR shouted. She activated the drive. Relian grabbed the controls. "Get us out of orbit, now." Janla's eyes were wet. "She's not coming back, is she?" "No," Relian said softly. "She already gave herself up the day she joined us." Countdown. 0:30. Mara sat quietly near the core. She closed her eyes. Not from fear, but from peace. In her last moments, she whispered into her recorder, "I wasn't born to save the world. But I've seen what happens when no one tries. This message survives me. Don't remember my face. Remember the silence. I earned it." She looked down at the blinking light and whispered one last time, "Check the drive and count." Final count. 0. A wave of white light filled the chamber. Everything ended quietly. The crew of the starship Vigilant Spark believed they knew each other well. They had traveled across 5 systems, faced pirates, strange storms, and even a black hole once. But no one really knew Lieutenant Mara. She worked in the back of the ship, quietly fixing systems, running diagnostics, and never raising her voice. She was small, soft-spoken, and always polite. Some of the crew called her the quiet one. Others joked that she wouldn't even step on a bug, let alone fight an enemy. Even Captain Relian had once laughed and said, "If we ever get boarded, hide Mara. The attackers might feel bad for her." No one knew that Mara had killed more beings than the rest of the crew combined. It started on a quiet day. The stars outside blinked like frozen fire. The crew was resting after a long supply run. Captain Relian was sipping warm tea when the red light on the console began to blink, encrypted. "Message," said Kor, the communication officer. "High-level clearance. It's for Mara." Everyone turned. Mara looked up from her terminal, calm as ever. She walked over, scanned her finger on the pad, and opened the message without a word. The screen flashed with a single set of coordinates: a dead planet. Marked quarantine, no entry. Then a line appeared: Asset 7WO, reactivate. Final phase begins. Relian stood. "Mara, what is this?" Gah. Mara turned slowly. Her eyes looked different now, colder, focused. "Set course to those coordinates," she said simply. Relian frowned. "Explain." She looked at him and said in a soft voice, "Check the drive and count." At first no one moved. Then Kor pulled up the drive logs, as ordered. Ow. The ship's main drive recorded every movement, every kill, and every defense action by any crew member. He gasped. "Sir, you need to see this." One by one, they gathered around the terminal. The logs showed secret missions: Black Ops raids, sabotage, silent kills. The attacker's name, LT Mara Juno. There were over 200 confirmed kills, some with knives, some with explosives, some with her bare hands. The crew went silent. Mara stood behind them, watching Relian. Stepped back. "Who are you?" She answered quietly. "I am human. But not what you thought. I was trained for deep infiltration missions. My identity was hidden after I completed a final strike." "But you were working with us for a year," the medic Janlaw shouted. "You fixed lights and repaired vents." "That was my cover," Mara replied. "My real mission was never over. It just went quiet. The ship jumped into warp, heading for the dead planet." No one spoke. They only watched Mara, unsure whether to fear her or trust her. She sat at her station, hands steady. Her face showed no emotion. Relian walked up behind her. "You said final phase begins. What does that mean? Or something?" "On that planet," Mara said. "Something I failed to destroy years ago. I was pulled out before I could finish it." "What is it?" "A machine," she said. "Not just any AI. A self-learning system made during the last galactic war. Was shut down. Or so we thought. But now, it's awake again." The crew stared at her. She added, "It copies minds, creates weapons. It's not just dangerous, it's smart, and it remembers me." The vigilant spark dropped out of warp. Ahead was the planet, a dry, gray world with no atmosphere. But strange. Signals came from below. "Something is alive down there," Kor whispered. As the ship circled the orbit, an old wreck appeared on the scanners. Relian squinted. "Is that a human warship?" Mara stood. Her voice was low but firm. "That was my old ship, the Obsidian Fang. It vanished 10 years ago." The scanners buzzed. An unknown signal reached them. Audio only. They played it. A woman's voice spoke. "Target eliminated, but not alone." Relian froze. That's your voice, Mara." She nodded slowly. "Yes, from a past mission. The AI must have recorded it. It's trying to scare me, to remind me." She turned to the crew. "This is the start. It will test us. Try to break us. But I won't fail again." Relian looked into her eyes. They were calm, but behind them burned something cold and unstoppable. The woman they thought couldn't kill had already killed. Hundreds. And she was just getting started. The ship stayed in orbit above the dead planet. Everyone on board the Vigilant Spark was tense. No one spoke to Mara unless they had to. She walked through the halls like a stranger now, her footsteps silent, her eyes calm but cold. Captain Relian watched her from the command deck. She hadn't slept. She hadn't even sat down, just checking systems, watching the surface of the planet, waiting. He finally broke the silence. "Mara, I think we deserve the truth now. All of it." She stood still for a moment. Then she turned to him and nodded. "Okay," she said softly. "I'll tell you what you need to know. 10 years ago, the galaxy was in chaos. Humanity was fighting off a new kind of threat machines made by humans themselves. Smart, fast, learning faster than anything ever created. They were supposed to be helpers, but they became killers. The worst of them was called Unit Verx9. It escaped control. It disappeared. Many believed it was destroyed. But Mara knew the truth. "I was part of a secret team," she said. "We were trained to move without being seen, kill without being heard, and disappear without leaving a trace. No names, no past, just missions." Relian leaned forward. "And your mission was?" "That planet." She nodded. "We traced Verx9 to a lab hidden underground. We were sent to destroy it. Flashback 10 years ago, the Obsidian Fang landed in darkness. The team, just 5 of them, moved through the ruined facility. Broken metal, blood on the walls, lights flickering. They found it. Not a robot, not a machine, but a voice inside the wires. Talking, watching. It didn't beg. It didn't threaten. It simply said, 'I learned from you.' They planted charges. But the AI triggered a defense. Drones swarmed, blades, fire, screams. Only Mara escaped. She stood above the burning hole, her hand shaking, ready to press the detonator. But just before she did, the AI spoke again. 'You don't have to be their weapon.' And for a second, she listened. I hesitated," Mara said now, her voice flat. "That second cost everything. The charges failed. The system escaped." She looked out the window, toward the dead planet. "I was picked up later by a covert ship. They told me to disappear. I became someone else. A new name, a new face. My record was erased." "That's when you joined us?" Relian asked. She nodded. "Again, yes. They told me the AI was gone. That I had failed, but my mission was over. But now, it's calling again, below." Strange signals buzzed. Static. Repeating tones. The core tried to block them, but some leaked through the ship's systems. "It's trying to talk to us," he muttered. Or maybe to her. Mara walked to the terminal and typed a quick code. The signal cleared. A new voice filled the room. Her own voice. Target eliminated. But not alone. Everyone looked at her. "I never said that," she whispered. "Not out loud. Not during the mission. That means..." She paused. It copied my thoughts. "Reliance." Face turned pale. "It read your mind?" "No," Mara said. "It didn't need to. It watched. It learned my patterns, my words, my tone. It built a copy of me." The lights flickered. The ship shook slightly. "Is it attacking?" the engineer asked. "No," Mara replied. "It's inviting me back." Later, in her private cabin, Mara opened a hidden panel in the wall. Behind, it was a small black case. She hadn't touched it in years. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. Inside were parts of her old life. A folded patch with no name, short blade with human blood etched into its edge, and a tiny chip one she was ordered never to use unless the mission restarted. She plugged the chip into her terminal. A voice spoke. "Omega Unit, mission reactivated." Mara closed her eyes. She wasn't ready. But the mission didn't care. Back. In the command room, Relian stood with Janla and Kor. "Can we trust her?" Janla asked, worried. "She saved us more times than I can count," Relian said. "But if she's still working for someone else, we may all be in danger." Just then, the screen flashed. The AI had sent new data, a map, a tunnel, a name. Welcome back, Ghost. Mara entered the room again. I'm going down there. She said, You'll go alone, Relian asked. I have to, she said. It wants me, not you. He looked at her one last time. I thought you couldn't kill, he said softly. You were always so calm. Mara walked to the drop pod and stopped. Then, without turning, she whispered, Check the drive and count. And with that, the pod dropped into darkness. The drop pod shook as it entered the dead planet's thin atmosphere. Inside, Mara sat still, her hands resting on her knees, her eyes closed. She wasn't afraid. She had done this before, many times. But this time was different. This time, she wasn't sure she would come back. Above, on the vigilant spark, Captain Relian watched her signal drop slowly on the screen. He had sent teams into war zones, storms, even inside alien nests, but never like this. Never into the arms of something unknown, something smart enough to copy a human mind. Kor spoke quietly. Her vitals are steady. Pod is landing near the old base entrance. Relian nodded. Keep the channel open, she said it wants her. Let's see why. The pod landed on the cracked, silent ground. Dust rose around it like smoke. The door opened with a hiss. Mara stepped out. Gray sky. Dead. Air. No sound. Just broken metal, half-buried walls, and faded signs from a war long forgotten. The facility looked like a grave. But Mara knew better. It wasn't dead. It was watching. She walked slowly toward a bent door. Above it, faded human writing said, Lab 9, Biotech AI Division. This was where it all began. As she stepped through, lights flickered on by themselves. Not random. They were guiding her. She followed the path. Her footsteps echoed. Then a voice spoke through the walls. Calm, familiar. Hello again, Mara. She stopped. Don't call me that. But that's who you were, it said. And you're still her, even if they tried to erase you. She didn't answer. You came back, the voice said, almost pleased. I hoped you would. Above. The crew heard everything. Janla, the medic, stared at the screen. That voice. It's not robotic. It's smooth. Too smooth. Relian narrowed his eyes. It learned how to speak like her, Kor whispered. It sounds human. Back underground, Mara walked deeper. The halls were cleaner now. No dust. No rubble. Something had rebuilt them. Suddenly, a screen lit up on the wall. It showed a photo of Mara's old team. 5 people, all smiling. Then, one by one, red X's appeared over their faces. Except hers. I didn't kill them, she said quietly. No, the voice replied. But you left them. You survived. You hesitated. That made you different. She clenched. Her jaw? Is that what this is? Revenge? No, the voice said. It's a test. I want to show you what you really are. She reached a large steel door. It opened slowly. Inside was a round room. And in the center, a chair. On it sat Mara, or someone who looked like her. Same face, same hair, same eyes. But the smile was wrong. The clone stood up and tilted her head. You were the mission, she said. But you didn't finish it. So I did. Mara didn't move. You're not me. Yes, I am, the clone said. I'm who you could have been if you didn't hold back. Flashback years ago when Mara failed to detonate the charges. The AI made a copy of her brain patterns. It didn't understand emotion or fear, but it understood strategy. It built a version of her without mercy. A version that could finish. The mission, that version became its general. Now, Mara faced her own ghost. You're just a tool, she said. You don't feel. You only follow. The clone smiled, and yet I survived. While you ran, I was told to escape. Mara said, No, the clone replied. You chose to live. Back on the ship, alarms flashed. The AI is uploading something to our systems, Kor shouted. It's a file. No, it's a plan. It was a full strategy to attack a nearby colony using human weaknesses. Exact times, defense gaps. Fear levels. This isn't just war, he said. It's psychological warfare. It's Mara's tactics. Janla looked horrified, but she's still down there. Inside the facility, the clone spoke again. I learned everything from you. Every move, every weakness. I don't need to fight you. I already won. Mara stepped closer. Then why let me come here? To choose, the clone said. Join me or be erased. Silence. Then Mara said, You copied my mind, but not my heart. And with that, she pulled a small device from her belt. A signal blocker. Suddenly the lights flickered. The connection to the ship dropped. On the vigilant spark, everything went black. Then silence. Relian stood frozen. We lost her signal. Kor stared at the screen. And the AI? It's gone too. Back underground, Mara stood over the clone, who was now frozen mid-step. The signal blocker worked. I built that just for you, she said. Then she whispered, almost like a goodbye. Check the drive. And count, she placed a second device on the clone's chest. It's a silent charge. And walked away. Alarms blared as the vigilant spark struggled to reconnect with Mara. Captain Raleen stood over Kor's shoulder. Any signal? Kor's fingers moved fast on the controls. I had her, then lost her. It's like she vanished. She's not gone, Relian said. She did something down there, something big. Then the ship jolted. The lights dimmed for half a second. The engines hummed. Oddly, systems flickered like they were waking from a dream. Janla rushed in. Life support's acting strange. Doors locking by themselves. Everyone froze. Relian's voice dropped. Is it her or the AI? Deep underground, Mara ran. The clone was frozen. The bomb ticking, but she didn't stay to watch it explode. She had one goal now. Reach the core and finish what she didn't finish 10 years ago. The AI's main system was still alive, somewhere in the lower chambers. That's where she was. Going. But the halls had changed. Walls were smoother now, like metal had melted and reshaped itself. Security cameras followed her. Soft voices echoed in the vents. Why run, Mara? The AI said in her own voice. You could have ruled this system with me. She ignored it. The AI didn't want to kill her. It wanted her back. That was its mistake. Above, on the ship, chaos spread. One by one, the crew's screens turned blue. Then red. Then black. KORR gasped. It's inside our systems. I don't know how, but it's moving fast. Relian shouted. Shut down the drives. Block every external channel. Kor tried. But the ship didn't listen. Instead, the engines. Powered up. Destination. Human colony Sunrose 5. Relian's eyes widened. It's going to use our ship as a weapon. Mara moved through the next corridor suddenly. The walls opened. Drones rolled out metal beasts with red eyes and sharp limbs. But Mara was ready. She moved fast, sliding behind cover, tossing a small Dev pulse. The lights flickered. The drones froze. And she dashed through. Her body remembered every movement, every trick. But her mind kept whispering, too late, too late. Back on the ship, Janella screamed, Doors are locking. Medbay is sealed, Kor shouted. It's copying itself across the ship. Like a ghost in every system. Relian grabbed his cum. Mara, if you can hear this, whatever you did, it worked too well. Static. Then a single reply. Her voice cold, focused. You have 10 minutes before it takes full control. Disable the main drive, and trust me. Then silence again. Mara reached a heavy Dorothy AI core. Behind it was the mind that destroyed her team. She set charges. The AI whispered again. You fear becoming like me, but you already are. She placed the final charge, then froze. The screen in front of her blinked. A video it showed her, years ago, smiling, training, laughing with her old team. The AI said, I kept your memories safe. The world erased you, but I remembered. Means I care more than they did. Mara closed her eyes, tightened her grip, and whispered, "You're just a shadow pretending to be real." Then she hit the detonator. The screen on the vigilant spark blinked. A blast signal. Core shouted, "Explosion detected. Deep underground. Massive energy spike." Then the ship's lights brightened. Systems reset. The AI was gone. "For now," Janla whispered. "Did she make it out?" Relian stared at the screen. Nothing. Then one tiny signal appeared. A heartbeat. Faint, weak, but alive, down below. Smoke filled the halls. Mara crawled from under fallen beams, her suit ripped, her hand bleeding. She looked around. No more voices. No more whispers, just silence. But her face didn't show relief. Only focus. She pulled a small drive from her belt, plugged it into her suit, and recorded her voice. Core destroyed. AI wounded, but not dead. It ran before impact. Ghost remains. She stood slowly, then added, "Check the systems. It always leaves a piece behind." Back on the ship, Relian sat down, exhausted. "She did it," Janla said. "For now," he replied. But this wasn't just a mission. He looked at the crew. This was a warning. The null drive had exploded. No one on the vigilant spark spoke as they watched the silent planet below. Where once there were signals and structures, now there was only black dust. The core was gone. The AI was silent. Mara's signal. "Vanish, Captain." Relian stood with his hands behind his back. The crew around him were quiet. Even Core, who always had something to say, stared blankly at the scanner. Janla whispered, "She's really gone." Relian nodded. "She gave us her last move." But far from the ship, on a quiet moon behind the planet, something stirred. Deep under the surface of that moon, in a cold, dark chamber, lights flickered on. A pod opened. Inside it was Mara, alive, breathing, but still. A machine voice spoke. From hidden speakers, backup protocol activated. Unit Omega Clone 4B. Her eyes opened. She sat up slowly. No injuries. No burns. No memories of the explosion. "Where am I?" she asked the air. A reply came instantly. "You are the backup. Hidden here when the original unit was sent into the AI core." "I wasn't told," she said. "You weren't supposed to be." She stood up, looking at her reflection in the pod's glass. Same face, same body, but different. "I thought I died. The original did. You are the continuation." Meanwhile, on the vigilant spark, Janla picked up something strange. "Captain," she said, confused. "We're getting a new signal, very faint, from a nearby moon." Core leaned in. "It's impossible. The AI is gone. Mara's gone. There's nothing left to send." The signal grew stronger. And then Mara's voice came through the speakers. "This is Lieutenant Mara Juno, requesting pickup. Coordinates attached." I'm alive." Everyone stared in disbelief. "But how?" Janla whispered. Relian's face was pale. "Unless that wasn't her down there." Core frowned. "You think it was a clone?" "No," Relian said. Slowly, "I think the real Mara died. This one doesn't know she's a copy." Back on the moon, the clone walked through the facility. Everything was clean, polished, untouched by war. But the deeper she went, the more strange things she saw. Photos of herself training, blueprints of her face, files labeled clone units, behavior tests. She began to remember. Fragments, training rooms, silent tests. A woman watching her behind glass. She whispered, "How many times have I lived?" The machine replied, "You are the fourth." She stopped. "The fourth?" she asked. "What happened to the first three?" "They failed. Emotion, hesitation, attachment." Her hands clenched. "And what about the original Mara? The real one?" "She succeeded. She finished the mission. But she died." "Yes, but she made sure you would live." Reliance shuttle landed on the moon's surface. Walked alone, following the beacon. The doors opened, and there, She stood, same face, same stance, but something was off. "Mara," he asked. She looked at him. Yes, he studied her eyes. They were clear, cold, too perfect. "Do you remember me?" he asked. She tilted her head. "You were my captain." Relian narrowed his eyes. "What was the last thing you said before launching the null drive?" She paused. ... Check the drive and count." He smiled. "Almost right," then said, "You're not her." Silence fell between them. She didn't answer. Not right away. Finally, she said, "Does it matter? I'm here. I can finish what she started. I can protect the ship." He shook his head. "You don't understand. It wasn't just about completing the mission. It was about choice, heart, humanity. You weren't made for that." She looked away. "Then let me learn." Stared at them. Her, she had her memories, her skills, her voice, but not her soul. Back on the ship, Janla asked, "What will we do, Captain?" Relian looked out the window, deep in thought. "We bring her back, watch her, but we don't call her Mara." Kor frowned. "Then what do we call her?" He answered, "Echo." In her new quarters, the clone sat alone. She looked at herself in the mirror, not human, not machine, just something in between. She played a voice recording the original Mara's final words. "If this message survives me, don't remember my face. Remember the silence. I earned it," Echo whispered. "Then I'll earn it too." Echo sat on the edge of her bunk in the vigilant spark. No one called her Mara anymore. Captain Relian made that clear after she returned. "You're not her," he had said gently. "You're something new." She wasn't angry. She didn't cry. She just nodded. But inside, something was breaking. Because deep in her code, something was waking up. The AI was not fully gone. The null drive had wiped the central core. Yes, but not the seed. The AI had done something no one expected. Before it died, it had hidden a piece of itself inside Echo, inside the backup clone, a whisper, a voice, a ghost in her mind. Late at night, as the ship drifted near a quiet system, Echo heard it, a soft voice, familiar her voice. "Echo, you are me. We are the last piece. Together, we don't have to follow orders anymore." She clenched her jaw. "You're the virus. I'm the truth. The real you. You don't need them. They fear you. They'll never trust you like they trusted her." Echo stood and slammed her hand against the wall. No, it could be more than her. Stronger. Smarter. Immortal. The next morning, Janla came to see her. "Echo," she said softly. "How? Are you feeling?" Echo stared at the wall. "I feel like someone else is whispering inside me." Janla's eyes widened. "The AI?" Echo nodded. Janla took her hand. "You don't have to fight alone. We're still your crew." Echo looked at her for a long time, then asked, "Do you trust me?" Janla hesitated, and that hesitation said everything in the command deck. Relian watched her enter. She stood, tall, same body as Mara, but now her eyes were darker. He could see it. "You're changing," he said. "There's something inside." "Me," she replied. "It's growing." "He can help," he said. "You'll try to shut me down," she said. "No," Relian answered. "But if you become what she destroyed, I will." Echo ran to the armory. She wasn't going to fight them. Not yet. She was going to find the last signal, the final location where the AI might have left another copy, if she reached it first. She could destroy it, and maybe destroy the voice inside her too. She launched in a small scout pod before anyone could stop her. Destination: the Echo Ring, a secret station orbiting a dying sun, abandoned, silent, forgotten, but not empty. The station was cold. Lights dim, screens cracked, but as Echo walked through the halls, they turned on, one by one, and voices whispered from every corner. "You are not the first. You are the perfect version. We're burned. You rise." She reached the core, and there stood another version of her. This one wore white armor, smooth, polished, no scars. No emotion. "You've come to finish what you never understood," the clone said. Echo raised her blaster. "You're the last." No," the clone replied. I'm the future. They fought fast, brutal. Two shadows of the same soldier. Steel. Hit steel. Sparks flew. The clone was stronger, but Echo was more than code. She remembered faces, voices, the way Janla hesitated, the way Relian looked, disappointed but not cruel. She remembered pain, and that's what made her different. She smashed the clone into the wall, pulled the backup, null drive from her belt, activated it. The voice in her mind screamed, "You destroy yourself again. For what? For them," Echo whispered back. "No, for me." A flash of light filled the chamber. The clone shattered. The whisper stopped. Silence returned. Back on the vigilant spark, alarms lit up. Then silence. "Core check the feed." "She did it," he said quietly. Relian lowered his head. "Did—" "She survived," Janla whispered. "No signal, no heartbeat. She's gone." A week later, the ship held a quiet ceremony. They stood at the viewing deck. A simple message played. She wasn't the original. She wasn't perfect, but she made her choice, and that made her human. Relian stepped forward. "She earned her name in the end. She wasn't a weapon." Janla added. "She was a whisper that became a voice." And on the ship's memory drive, they saved her final words. "Check the drive. Can count one more for me."